Hey guys, I've been posting a lot again lately after a break, and there's been a lot of comments where people were like, you're just posting again and you're not telling us like where you were or what happened. And it's comments like these from this guy here, It's Choke 6740. He's like, you just gonna pretend you haven't been gone for so long? And people are like, for real, what's going on? And I had posted on Twitter the reason, but I didn't make any YouTube videos about it. And I'll explain all of that and then talk about what I got into while I was not doing YouTube, and then also share some stuff that I was doing regarding researching the impossible Easter egg on Shadows of Evil. I've gotten some breakthroughs on that, and I think there are some really strong leads. So this all started way back in 2016, and I can't believe it goes back that far. But I had made multiple posts on Twitter talking about how I had injured my arm. At that point, I had been doing a lot of gaming, like heavy gaming every day because I was doing YouTube, and I'd been doing it for a few years at that point. And I had noticed that my right shoulder was bothering me and giving me a little bit of problems and causing a little bit of pain. And at that time, I wasn't doing anything too crazy physically. The years before, I was heavily into off-road biking, and that was crazy. That was taken to the extreme, but I wasn't doing that at the time. I'd definitely flown over my handlebars while biking by taking a wrong turn or hitting like a stump that I didn't know was there. And those impacts could have certainly contributed to what I was experiencing, but I wasn't sure. Until one day, I had gotten a kickboxing bag, and I decided that I was gonna have some fun with it and see how hard I could punch it. This is the bag here that I had. It was a really fun bag. It's weighted at the bottom, and yeah, you could just kick it and punch it. And I was trying to punch it and see if I could get it to like fall over and hit the ground or whatever. Well, I took a massive swing at it, and yeah, I definitely punched the crap out of it, but I also wrecked my arm. When you're young and dumb, you think you're invincible and you don't think you can really hurt yourself like that, but I did. The pain was excruciating. I could not position my arm in any fashion to make the pain stop. It was keeping me up. I couldn't sleep. I ended up going to the urgent care because of it, and they didn't really have much to say. They just made sure that there was nothing wrong with some rotator cuff or whatever, and it seemed fine. They put me on like heavy pain meds, which was fantastic, and it really stopped the pain. And coming off those pain meds was really not fun, so I will never do that again. And from that time, my arm never healed. I was continuing to do YouTube and gaming, and my arm just stayed irritated and in pain. It got to the point where I could not click a mouse and I could not use a controller, so there was no way I was going to be able to edit for 8 hours on end making YouTube videos. Like literally, if any of you guys have done videos and editing, you know that it can take anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours sometimes of non-stop editing to do a video. Several of the videos I've made within the last couple of weeks took 6 to 8 hours to make. Like the Horizon one with the movie, that took a long time to edit, and some of the other ones. And as of right now, my arm seems to be fine. I had to literally stop doing everything. Stop holding a controller and gaming, stop using a mouse, and after 8 months, it finally seemed to have healed. And it really sucked not being able to make YouTube videos and do the gaming like I did. And to entertain myself, I started to get heavily into VR gaming. There's a lot of VR games that don't require intense controller usage or anything like that. It's pretty minimal compared to how intense Zombies is. So yeah, I was getting sucked into the world of VR gaming, and I was a little hesitant to come back to using a controller and going through all that again. There were a couple of games I was extremely into, like no-lifing those games for months and hours on end. One of them was a mini golf or putt-putt game called Walkabout. That is probably one of the best games ever developed for VR. I got into the trick shotting and kind of glitching in a way, so I was really enjoying myself. And then I also got heavily into a D&D VR game called Demio. I got into modding on that game, writing my own mods and rule sets, and then hosting games. So yeah, I spent a good 8 to 9 months just doing nothing but VR. And typically I like to post on YouTube what I'm passionate about or what I'm doing and gaming, but my channel isn't really set up for VR, and I'm not super set up to record for VR gaming. And I don't feel like VR translates well to YouTube and YouTube videos. You really have to be in the game to experience how amazing it is. So I wasn't about to turn my channel into VR, although that's what I was really into at the time, and I really didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, some older Zombies Easter eggs were getting solved, stuff that was impossible and things we would never figure out on our own. And one of them was the Vases Easter egg on Dead of the Night. I had a very strong personal attachment to that Easter egg. We spent a lot of time trying to solve it. The charts and graphs that we were cooking up, and our team, we were working hard. My clan tag on my accounts is Vase. That's how obsessed we were. Then we found out that it was an unlimited ammo Easter egg, like first in history, I was like, I'm gonna have to cover this and make a video on this. This is just too personal to pass up. The edit for that was brutal. It took a really long time, but my arm was okay. And I was like, you know what? I think I can start making videos again. So that personal attachment to that vase Easter egg, I think the universe was just like, it's time, you know? And I'm trying not to tear up thinking about it, but holding on to the hope of that Easter egg and really caring about it is what brought me back, which is great because even though there's not a ton of zombie stuff going on right now and we're waiting for stuff to start happening, there is an absolute ton of stuff to cover from past zombie games. Black Ops 3 is loaded with things that no one's ever talked about, things that no one recognized or really understood the impact of, and looking back now we can see, yeah, that was an Easter egg. That was a pretty big clue to something. And when I say Easter eggs, I mean out of game Easter eggs, in-game Easter eggs, triggers, non-triggers, and the devs definitely consider out of map references Easter eggs as well, like the whole thing I did on the Horizon movie breakdown and the origins being linked to Sucker Punch. Those are intentional. Those are there for us to find, and they consider them out of game Easter eggs. And that's not a term we're used to hearing, but that would be the way to refer to them. And they can be just as important as any radio that we find or cipher that we solve. So yes, there is an entire realm of out of game Easter eggs, and I honestly do not know where to start. There is so much. They get massive inspiration from movies and real life locations and history, and they incorporate it all into their zombie maps. And this isn't really new information, but I think what we didn't realize is that, yeah, there's a whole category of out of game Easter eggs, and it can be pretty massive, and it is. For example, the Horizon map being heavily based on the movie Where Eagles Dare, and then Origins being heavily based on the movie Sucker Punch. I recently made videos about both of those, and you guys have probably already seen them, but that's the example of the level of these out of game connections and Easter eggs. And it just keeps going. There's still so much more to cover on Origins, Zetsubo Nishima, even Mob of the Dead, and of course, Shadows of Evil. And I think I have a pretty strong lead on the impossible Easter egg for Shadows of Evil. It just hit me one day about 3 months ago. And that's usually how it works. If I ever solve anything, it's usually an epiphany early in the morning. I'm like, oh yeah, wow, that's what that is. After realizing this, and I'm not going to tell anything right now because I need to do more research, but I have been heavily researching it for the last 3 months. And big shout out to my friend El King. We have been working feverishly on this. I just need to tie up a few of the loose ends so it doesn't sound so crazy when I make the video, but I will put out where I'm at and what I have discovered so far. I feel like we are in the realm. Some things really got nailed down recently, and I think we're on the right track. And if we are on the right track, then this Easter egg was in our face this whole time. And because it is so vague, it's difficult to put the pieces together. Looking through all the Easter eggs and how Jason has done things with the storyline, I was joking that his middle name is Vague, so Jason Vague Blundell, like that's his MO. And we've been approaching it with that mindset, so we're hoping we're on the right track. And you know I'm going to keep you guys updated, and I appreciate all of the feedback of coming back and posting again. You guys have been amazing, and it just makes it all worth it.